Well, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. Thank you for joining me. Let me put my blankie on and get comfy. Has everybody got a blankie? Gonna make my legs crossed, I think. How's the sound? Is it okay? Happy Sunday to all. I am your hostess with the mostest. I am the Oracle of Whimsy. Yes, first conceived in an ancient riverbed in a land far away from here. Yes, the alter ego of Dr. Whimsy, the greatest naturopathic doctor who has ever lived in this apartment. That is who I am. And it is our brunch show. And I know you're all excited to have brunch with me, as I am excited to have brunch with you. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot of remote views to go over. Won't that be fun? But before we get started, if you could like and subscribe, that would be awesome. And I want to give a special shout out to everybody who has decided to join us over at Patreons. A special shout out to Donna Lineberg. Hi, Donna Lineberg. Hello. How you doing, Donna? You come here often? Thank you for being a new Patreon, and thank you for hanging out with me in my casual Patreon channels where I tell people what I'm eating, talk about my digestive health. It's quite laid back over at Patreon. Paula McLeroy. Hi, Polly. Good to see you as well over at Patreon. Hi, Polly. How you doing? Thank you. I want to give a shout out to the newest members of the YouTube channel as well. Thank you for supporting the channel. It helps me continue to do this cool thing, my passion. I've always wanted to be a talk show host. This is the closest I'll ever get. It's me hanging out in my day dress in my bedroom with all of you folks. Letitia Marquise, she re-upped. Thank you so much, Letitia. I appreciate the help. Donald Lampert upgraded. Hi, Donald. Thank you, Donald Lampert. I appreciate that. And John Weber upgraded as well to Empaths and Healers. We've been having a lot of fun over there on Tuesday nights with Empaths and Healers. Having some fun remote viewing classes. We're exercising. We're practicing our whole HCRV so that the world can be filled with wonderful remote viewers. I also want to give a shout out in honor. It is Black History Month. Woohoo! Yahoo! And so in honor of Black History Month, we're going to be raising money for the Southern Poverty Law Center, as we do every year around this time. Our goal this year is going to be $3,000. If we surpass it, that's great. Special shout out to Anonymous. They are the first person to plunge in. Do you feel a bit like a penguin diving in? Yes. Southern Poverty Law Center is a great organization. They research injustice, focusing on people who are poor, people of color, and what we can do to make the world a fair, just place. So we honor them during Black History Month, and we give a shout out to them and thank them for their work, their service. And yeah, so that is our fundraiser for the day. So as I said, this is our brunch, L'chaim. We kibitz, we talk, we chat. Anybody and everybody is welcome. We only have one rule: be kind to all so that all can be kind to you too. I did not have a green smoothie today. Shock of shocks. Sometimes I want something a little different. Oh, yeah. So instead of the green smoothie, which I normally do, I decided to get a little wild. I had some of that toast. What is that toast? It's really, really good. What is that bread that's really, really good? Good Seed Toast, the company that puts out the Good Seed Toast. I had some of that toast with some Justin's peanut butter on top. And here's a nice trick. If you don't like a lot of sugar, I put some unsweetened applesauce on top. I smeared unsweetened applesauce on top of that toast. Dave's Killer Bread. You are the best. Thank you, Joel. Dave's Killer Bread, good seed. So you're getting your omegas from those seeds. You will test positive in a drug test for opioids, though, because it does have some poppy in it. Anyway, I think that a woman, this happened. She had some Dave's poppy seed bagels and had her baby and tested. It was a nightmare. Anyway, so you should know that. But anyway, I toasted that, did the Justin's peanut butter, and then I had some organic unsweetened applesauce and I smeared that on top. Delish, of course, doesn't contain all the sugar of a jelly or something like that. The nice cup of coffee. Vegan, right? I try to have at least 2 vegan meals a day, which I feel is better than most. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $20 donation. And another Anonymous for $5 to the Southern Poverty Law Center. So let's talk. Where are you coming from? What's your story? How's the weather where you're at? New. Introduce yourself to the table. This table extends to the 4 corners of the earth. We invite you to join us. Please join us. Tell us where you're coming from. Tell us what you're eating. And then after we all introduce ourselves, we can talk about the remote views and where we are headed. Looks like Be Grateful is having cooked eggs. Okay. With some mushrooms. Oh, she's growing oyster mushrooms at home. Y'all know about this? You can go online and you can buy these mushroom kits. I think you soak them in water or something. I don't know. And then oyster mushrooms are expensive. So that's really cool. Good for you. And they're delicious, by the way. I've gone out and I've harvested them wild. They're very good. Oh, Lola Bell, she's having toasted cinnamon raisin bagel with cream cheese and walnuts. That sounds absolutely delicious. Hi, Rose Blue. Hi, Ann Harding. Good afternoon to you, Ann. Oh, I'm looking fabby. Well, to be honest with you, I've had cryo. I had a cryo here and I had to put a bunch of makeup on to cover it because got one little spot here. I know I'm vain. And I had a little bit of cryo here. You know, the makeup is covering it very nicely. So thank you for saying that. Looks like Don Daniels is missing Evergreen, Colorado. Excited to Orlando, Florida this week for training. Oh, sympathies sent. Evergreen, Colorado sounds like a beautiful place. Thank you, Pamela Doss, for that $5 donation. Marjorie Harrison is having a second cup of homemade latte. Man, do I love coffee. She whisked the milk from Santa. Oh, Kim Hawkins, Baltimore, Maryland, is eating roasted chicken. The temp is 50 degrees today. Oy va boy. That is so much better than what a lot of people are going for. I'm going to grab my coffee. You know, how is everybody holding up with those Arctic chills? My goodness. It's just been absolutely 101. What was it? 101 minus chill. Was it in Somewhere like that. All right, Maryville. I'm sorry, Marilia. Marilia Finnegan. That's a lovely name, Finnegan. She made vegan bean soup with kale and lots of vegetables. And she's coming in from Virginia, hopefully good weather. We've got Anika Loafing. She is coming in from Stockholm and she's having a nice cup of tea. Well, that sounds lovely. Warm in Central Florida. Nice. 54 in North Carolina. All right, here's a competition. Who here is winning the award for the coldest place in the United States right now? Tell us who is coldest. 50 degrees. That's what we have right now in Portland, Oregon. That's nothing. Oh, good to see you, Bridget. Hi, Patty. 2019, excuse me. Oh, you're in Kalmar, Sweden. Beautiful. Miter Sanjita is having rolled oats, dried apricots, raisins, flaxseed. Oh my gosh. See, that's a really great breakfast if people are looking. You can make a breakfast pottage with some thick cut oats and then just throw everything in it. You can throw raisins. You can throw coconut shredded. I do that sometimes. You can put in butter or oat butter if you're a vegan. Walnuts is always great. And you can make yourself a hearty pottage. Sometimes I'll also chop up apples or pear or something like that and just stew it, cook it down, and you've got yourself an amazing balanced breakfast. You can also put some almond butter or peanut butter, and sometimes you can even put, here's another idea you can all try. You can put some protein powder in it if you're worried about your protein being ample. You can get yourself some protein and greens by the company Paradise, which I think is the best out there. Put some of that in your oatmeal. Okay, we got 40 degrees in New York City. That's not too bad. 33 in Montpelier. 31 in Wisconsin. Now that is below freezing. That's -0 Celsius. Oh, a blueberry flax. Yum, yum. All right, so let's talk remote views and let's talk politics. Let's talk news. It's been quite busy, hasn't it? Looks like the Chinese spy balloon has finally been shot down. I know. We were having so much fun. Did everybody see the SNL skit about the spy or the spy balloon? Yes, the spy balloon. Well, you look quite large. Thank you. That was rude. He's a very funny comedian. So it looks like the Chinese spy plane went yes, it was this Spanish Chinese spy balloon. Why do I keep saying spy plane? Spy balloon. Yes, it was taken down, but it was touring the United States for 5 days. You know, I think what was going on when you look at it just energetically, I think they were just observing it. Like, what is this thing doing? It took a southeast tour of the United States from Idaho. They were trailing it from Idaho to the Carolinas. But, you know, it gets back to the whole discussion, what are these things? In this particular case, it was a spy balloon. You know, you look up in the sky and you see these strange objects and you immediately assume that it's little green men. Well, what if it isn't little green men? What if it's a country potentially hostile to the United States that's using advanced drone systems? That would be even more scary, I think, you know, because if that kind of advanced technology exists from an enemy country, then you think, because I've been looking at these Tic Tac videos, like what the heck are they? Are they multi-propulsion systems with a motherboard that was developed in China or Russia? There's a huge bunch of them that was landing in the Antarctic a couple of days ago. I think the Hubble spacecraft got a picture of those Tic Tacs. And I'm a realist. I think, come on, little green men, come on. It's got to be either Russia. They're either some kind of cargo transport drones developed from a country that is not friendly to the US, either Russia or China, and they probably are taking over the Antarctic because they want to drill, because now people are fighting. Russia and China want control of the Antarctic. Evidently, there's oil there, there's resources. It's also a good strategic location for them because they would have control of that South Pacific area, which is where they saw those Tic Tacs coming in a couple of days ago. So, as a realist, my first thought would be, oh, it's got to be either China or Russia, and it has to do with controversies about them wanting to establish a base in Antarctica. That would be the most logical. But then you get back to the whole thing of, wait a minute, what the heck are these things? So they look to be rotating, which when you go into the energy, when they rotate, they suck air into them, these Tic Tacs. And that rotation sucks air in, and the inside propellers propels it forward. That's what's propelling it forward. The air comes in and propels it forward. But you can close the frontal propellers, continue to take the wind in and open the back propellers, and then you've got movement backwards and forward, and then you've got an internal motherboard that's controlling it. This is where my head was going. And then you can collapse it. If it's made of rubber substance rather than a hard substance, and then it can go in. So it wouldn't be a balloon, but it might be some type of, I'm thinking maybe it's some type of advanced drone system, or it's aliens from another planet. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Who knows? People have written me and said, nope, it's a blue alien race. I'm like, really? You think that that's the most logical? I don't know. I'm still holding out that it could be looking a lot more complicated than it actually is. Because if it's swirling, which it is, and pulling air in to cause it to propel, and if you've got a propulsion system forward and back, you could simply close it off and move it back and forth. And I mean, isn't that possible? I don't know. And then if you had a motherboard controlling it, and why would so many be going to the Antarctic to not be detected, right? I'm completely open. As long as the Blue Man Group, yes, maybe they're rehearsing out there. Prince Harry did not see them when he was visiting the South Pole. But I find it absolutely fascinating. Oh, Sterling thinks it's aliens? Well, he might be right. I mean, who knows? But I was thinking I've had physics. We've all taken physics, right? Most of us who went to college and studied the sciences. And I was just thinking in terms of, okay, it's rotating, so it's sucking air into the main chamber. So if you had internal wings guiding the air, that would push it forward. And if you had a motherboard in the center controlling it, and if you could close off the propulsion one way or the other, but the faster it goes, the faster it circles. But here's the thing: the higher it goes, how much oxygen would it have? How much air would it actually have in order to propel itself? Well, planes can get up pretty high. They can get up to what, 40,000 feet? So I don't know. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And one of the things I do feel when I go into them is that I feel that they're being used for some type of cargo. It's something that I've seen over and over again, that they seem to be carrying. So if whatever these things are is going to the Antarctic, and we're seeing a bunch of them on the Hubble spacecraft, NASA's seeing a whole fleet of them coming into the Antarctic, it could be that they're carrying something, they're bringing supplies. But that, again, doesn't make any sense, that if China and Russia are using some type of advanced drone system to carry equipment, then this would be a great way to do it, so that it would be undercover. instead of thinking, wow, they're bringing massive amounts of equipment to the Antarctic, you would instead be focusing on these Tic Tacs flying around rather than, well, what's the cargo? That's, this is how a scientist thinks. Okay, what are they? How are they made, and what's the cargo? Why are they all going there? Regardless of who it is, what's the cargo, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, the Navy and Coast Guard is now retrieving the debris of the Chinese spy balloon. Now she is having a temper tantrum. You heard what she said. Well, if you shoot down our spy balloon, that we can shoot down your spy balloons. Come on, what are you, 5 years old? I mean, it's a very strange way for adults to be communicating. I don't know. So it's causing some rising tensions. As you know, we can certainly throw on it. China is threatening Taiwan. The United States is an ally of Taiwan. There's a lot of anger because we have trade with Taiwan. We've also talked about, and this is the main thing I wanted to talk about today, is the fact that China's economy is in trouble. I cannot stress this enough. China's economy is in really big trouble. They're not releasing all of their quarterly earning reports. We know they've been shut down for a really long time because of COVID. We know that they've spent billions of dollars in infrastructure all over the world. They've bought up land from Australia to the United States, farmland. They've also heavily invested in Africa, etc. So when they lose contracts, or when their competition takes their contracts, that's taking an already stressful situation and making it potentially worse. Would you agree? I think, yeah, makes sense, right? So the United States is responding by building up troops. Looks like we're building up troops in Japan, India, and Australia, as well as the Philippines. Now, Biden has said that these troops in the Philippines are temporary and they're just there to protect Taiwan. But you can imagine the stress that this is creating for all of us as we observe this. L'chaim, l'chaim, everyone. Cheers. A great use for my old-fashioned peanut butter from Adams. This was what this used to be. I turned it into a glass. It's kind of cool, right? I think that she is in denial about the economic situation in China. That is what it feels to me. Out of sight, out of mind, let the good times roll. But I'm predicting in February some really major explosive economic changes that could globally have an impact, particularly in Europe. Now, if Europe is heavily involved, if China's relationship with Europe is strained, if their relationship with the United States is strained, if they're having economic problems, if we're seeing an escalation of the war in Ukraine, we could potentially see in the next couple of weeks in Europe a lot of tension, a lot of economic strife. We could see the euro drop even more. I think we're going to start seeing some real evidence that China's economy is crashing. I can tell she what I would do, but I don't think she wants to hear what I would do. And what I would do is I would start abandoning and selling off these projects in other countries, because they have abandoned real estate. They have abandoned so many projects in China. They've run out of money. It's very obvious that they're top heavy. They've got commitments in too many places and they don't have enough money to fulfill those commitments, whether it's their infrastructure projects in Africa or the business and land and real estate investments they have here in the United States, Australia, etc., Europe. So I guess my question to you is, and I think we're going to find out in about 2 weeks. You know, I like to give you the dates. I guess my question to you is, do you think I'm right? And how do you think this is going to play out in 2 weeks when people are wanting to see the books and the fact that we're not seeing all of those reports about the economy in China? Is something going to leak? What's going to go down? We see the rising tension in Ukraine. That's another concern we have. The buildup of troops. Are we close to World War III? How do we stop this chaos? All of these things are pushing towards economic stressors that are going to have an impact on the economy. I don't know if it's going to hurt the dollar. It could be one of those situations where people get frightened in Europe and then they run towards the dollar, which actually would weaken the euro further and strengthen the dollar, which has been what has been happening, actually, which is one of the reasons why I've been enjoying these international vacations, because the dollar is strong and these foreign currencies are weak, right? But it doesn't last forever, right? A vacation in South Africa right now with the rand is 2-1 with the dollar. So if you've ever wanted to go to South Africa, now's the time, right? The yen is worth 20 something cents, right? In Japan. Again, if you want to have these experiences, now is the time. The euro is 92 cents to the dollar as opposed to $1.60, which it was 15, 20 years ago. It's lost nearly half its value from its peak. So all of that is going on, and certainly it's something that we can all take a look at once we start doing some blitzes. Also, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room. I know you want to talk about it. Did I not promise you it would get even more salacious? I told you that George Santos was going to be the gift that keeps giving. It was not going to go away. He was not going to leave overnight. It was going to take 2.5 to 3 months. And I told you it was going to get more salacious because when I went into the remotes, it got more salacious. So since that time, they've interviewed his supposedly barely 18 ex-pseudo-fiance. But now there are sexual harassment allegations. Yes, it looks like a man by the name of Derek Myers, who was he was applying to be a house aide. Unfortunately, he's been accused of wiretapping out of Ohio. Evidently, he had a situation with George Santos recently where George Santos asked him if he was on Grindr, if he wanted to go do karaoke, put his hand in a certain place. I don't think he was in the man's pocket looking for errant lifesavers. I think there was something else maybe going on. But anyway, so it looks like Derek Myers has filed a sexual harassment complaint. More crazy from George Santos. So it goes also back to that whole idea of cannibalism in the GOP, because 71% of the GOP want this guy out from his district, right? So what do you think it's doing to the GOP? Oh, yes. So what do you think? Hey, we run a clean, nice show, and I try to be kind to all, but you gotta chuckle. You gotta chuckle because it goes back to that whole argument about cannibalism and how do you want to take it slow? You want it to be quick, 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 or do you want to take it slow? And I think slow is strategically better for the Democrats because the longer we can drag these things out, the more effective the cannibalism is, right? if you are a Democratic strategist. Not saying I'm a Democratic strategist. I'm just saying if I was a Democratic strategist, the sooner they take care of this, the better for them. But do we really want it to be better for them? If you're coming from it from the perspective of being a Democrat, you want to take it slow. You want another leak every couple of days. And what do you think that's doing to McCarthy's popularity within the GOP and amongst his constituents? Let's discuss that. Is it making him stronger or weaker? Thank you, Don Daniels. He's talking about the problems with my theory, and he probably knows more about this than I do. So let's hear what he has to say. He says that we can fly our jets up to 50,000 feet, okay? The Tic Tacs are just a few feet in size, so they're not actually going to be suitable for cargo, not even small cargo. They can outrun fighter jets, so not propellers. Not enough room for fuel batteries for their range. Huh, how fascinating. I just wonder what the heck they are then. Maybe it's real evidence that somebody else is here, which would also be cool. So maybe they're landing in Antarctic and they plan to come out and say, all right, game over, take your toys away. In a way, I would kind of welcome that, because we are going to blow ourselves up if we cannot learn to sit down and work stuff up. So maybe we do need to be saved, who knows, from something or someone else. But that is absolutely fascinating. Thank you, Don Daniels, for sharing that. I love to learn. Love to learn. Eleonora, boiled potatoes, butter, sour cream. My goodness, that sounds lovely. Well, they're definitely UFOs. On the issue of George Santos, like I said, he's the gift that keeps giving. This also breaks the door open. Once they leak something like this, other reporters are going to feel free to start talking about the sexual harassment allegations because it's already been leaked. It's always who's the first person. So they're going to go on Grindr. They're going to find other people that met him on Grindr. And they're going to start investigating the underage claims, right? It just starts to get really, really creepy. And it's the worst possible news for the GOP. So you need to have a 4-vote majority in order to hold power. I just don't think McCarthy is long for this world with this kind of crazy going on. And it goes back to what I had predicted. The only solution is to pick a moderate and work with the Democrats. But before that happens, they're completely ruining their brand. I mean, this is cannibalism, but it's cannibalism at a dinner party that goes on for hours, right? It's not like cannibalism where you sit down and you wolf one another down in a single bite. This is cannibalism. This is a slow, drawn out kind of cannibalism. It's just gruesome, isn't it? Yeah. All right. So that's what I have for you guys. Like I had said, expect more salacious stuff out of George Santos. I think the sexual stuff is going to get weirder as the days go on. I am not totally convinced. I'm still not convinced that Pedro was 18 when they got involved. There's something really weird there. And where there's smoke, and other people have started, things are starting to get really weird with this guy, which also could indicate that he's compromised. If we know it, who else knows it? Right? Exactly, Marjorie. It's a 5-course cannibalism. So, what do you all think we should do now? Would you guys like to have a reading? A collective reading, do the empath's prayer and have a reading? It's polite cannibal. Well, I try to be as polite as possible. So I'm sure they feel the same way. If they're going to munch away at their own party, they might as well be slow, nice, polite dinner party as they tear the flesh off of one another. Okay, so we're going to do the empath's prayer. If you know the words, please join me. And we're going to do a collective reading. That's my gift to you. And we believe in the collective conscience. So, yes, also, Karen Louise is making a very important point. I was going to mention that. Thank you so much. That cannibalism is also breaking out. We talked about the fact that Mitch McConnell, there's no direction but to cut the head off the beast. We know that Rick Scott is under criminal investigation. He's one of the people who I believe sought a pardon. He is one of the people that was part of the Freedom Party that was probably heavily involved in January 6th, and he's probably facing charges. We also know that Jack Smith does have a grand jury. So it's getting bad quickly. And I think it's very obvious. Thank you for mentioning this, Karen. I almost forgot that. I think it's very obvious that the writing is on the wall for the future of. It could have only ended this way, right? When did we see this? 4 years ago? You follow energy to its natural conclusion. This was never going to be sustainable. That's funny, Ann Harding. He needs a can of Raid. Oh my God. Yeah, so it's quite gruesome, but it is what it is. Let's do the empath's prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journey, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. All right, let's see what Spirit has to say to us. What does Spirit want you to know? Okay, where you are at this time. We talked last week about the fact that everybody was being changed for the better, and we talked about the fact that this is a time when we are learning. The more we learn, the better we can become. Once you have education, you can then use that education. Education is power, and then you can use that education to make the world a better place. Last week was a very difficult time for all of us, but it was even harder for the Tyree Nichols family because of the film footage that was released. And again, we get bombarded by these images that make us shocked at just how cruel human beings can be to one another. And so this is a time where we're seeing a lot of conflict. How can we cool the conflict in our lives? and the conflict we see with other people. Healthy debate and healthy discourse. We have a salon, right? So we believe in, let's discuss, let's teach each other, like that really cool person who contributed to the UFO information. So we don't have to agree, but let us be kind to one another. We can see that this is a time where there's a lot of conflict, but this is also an education card. A little bit about this card. I've heard all kinds of interpretations of this card. You can see people are engaged in what looks like warfare, but nobody's actually hitting anybody. They're just carrying staffs. And so they're constructing something. Now, they're dressed like the merry men, Shakespeare's merry men. So it's also been said, well, they're constructing a stage. They're going to do a play. A play? Others have said it's about exchange of ideas, passionate debate. It's not necessarily about anybody hitting anybody or anything like that. The point is that it's associated with education. It can also be if a person is a professional actor, particularly theater actors will often get this card. But we have to prepare that the next couple of weeks are a very delicate time. We can see tensions rising globally. What can we do to not become part of that tension? We want to look at the truth. We want to put emotion aside. We have the Queen of Swords. Does everybody know which Yoruba, which Orisha this is associated with in the Yoruba tradition? Any people who study Yoruba? Who is the goddess that carries the sword in the Yoruba tradition, goes to war with Chango? Oya, right? So it's also associated with truth, with justice, with putting the past behind us. I think that the takeaway here is to be mindful that we're entering into a justice absolute. Queen of Wands is usually the fire queen. Queen of Swords is just the facts. It's facts, truth, reality. It's associated a lot with the air signs. I think it's very important before we let ourselves get pulled into all this passion that's going to be coming up over the next 3 weeks, that we not engage in it. Just be calm, stick to the facts, like the Queen of Swords, and let it brush off of you. These are cards that have to do with walking away from things in your life that don't suit you, and don't engage in conflict that is not going to do anything other than burn you out. Being changed to relationships that could involve conflict. Don't get sucked into, boy, is that hard for me, because as soon as somebody pushes my buttons, particularly in my family, I am right there, right? So be very careful that you're not, just walk away. That is what you're going to be experiencing some conflict in the next couple of weeks with possible family members, etc. Instead, Spirit wants you to focus on education, keeping your house in order, being a good little stoic, be about your business, child, as Miss Mabel likes to say. Do your work and try not to engage in the strife and conflict and crazy. The next 2 to 3 months, I'm telling you, is going to be very, very intense, both in terms of economics, but also escalations in the war in Ukraine, tension with China, etc. It's a tough couple of weeks, and we don't want it to be affecting us in any way, just other than just remain calm, keep your own house in order. It's all about your wisdom, your truth, and not allowing yourself to be sucked into other people's stuff. If you're having conflict with family members, it may be a good idea to just disengage and go for a vacation to Arizona, Southern California. Go be with some sun for a while and just disengage. Sometimes disengaging is the best thing you can do right now. Some of you are going to be taking trips possibly to the Southwest. Good. I know I'm one of those people. I will be gone The 17th to the 27th, I'll be in Mexico City and also in Oaxaca. Is that how it's pronounced? Puerta Escondida. I found a really great deal. Hotel and airfare for under $1,000. Yes, it can be done. Also, I'm going to be getting together with a friend of mine, Darlene Christopher, the psychic, who's my dearest friend. Her and her children are also coming. So we're just going to go sit by the beach while the crazy's going on and disconnect. Go enjoy some sun. We cannot control it, so why get sucked into it? Work on your meditation practice. Work on education, work on doing the best you can for your business, your life, your career, your finances, your account and reckoning. Get your own house in order and disengage from relationships that suck you in and give you conflict at this time. I'm telling you, 2 to 3 weeks, mark it on your calendar between now and to about the end of the month. Hopes and fears, judgment, keep your judgment strong. And then the final outcome, see this warring card. We could see some heavy tensions. So now is the time to keep yourself sane when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, right? Keep your head when all about are losing theirs and blaming it on you. That is the message from Spirit over the next couple of weeks. You can see here again, stock market crash, crashes in the economy, and war are coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Get yourself to smoother waters, and when you see a violent or negative situation, disengage, flee, and seek smoother waters. Seek truth in all things and be just in all actions, because what goes around will come around. Do not fear economic crisis. There is no recession. I had told you this before. I went forward into the remotes and it said that there were more jobs than people. The jobs report now shows that it's the highest it's been since before World War II, employment. So do not fear unemployment. Unemployment's not a problem. Recession is not a problem. We've got more jobs than people. Those of you who are looking for new work will have it in the next couple of weeks. That's the reading. So, sometimes bad things are going on with friends, with family, with politics, with countries. But it's just another reminder that now is the time to pull your energy in. Flee from conflict, take care of yourself, and take care of your own business, because it's going to be a tough couple of weeks. I hope that gave you some clarity about be like Oya, just the sword of truth, my friend. Oh, thank you, Joel. Hi, Geriatric Brig. Good to see you. Hello, K-Travel. I was going to call Kay to see if anybody else want to go see that movie, Women Talking. Do you want to go see that, Kate? I think it's showing somewhere downtown. No, where's it showing? On 21st. I think it looks like an interesting film, Women Talking. Well, yeah, Linda, that's the thing, is the crisis is not lack of work. We have more work than people. The crisis is that when foreign countries started buying up land, and when billionaires and millionaires started buying up land, prices soared so that the average person got priced out of the market. And that's the crisis. The crisis is a lack of available and affordable housing. So I can only say, based on the remotes, that if I was the leader of China, which of course I'm not, I would start selling off my foreign investments. And look, if your own country is falling apart and you can't house your own people, and the apartments are not built, and everything, all the work has stopped, and you've been losing money for years because you overspent and projects are on hold all over the world, what would you do? You would have to do the Playboy magazine technique. That's what they did too. They closed all their Playboy clubs because they weren't making any money, and they focused on the magazine. I mean, it sounds like a weird thing to compare it, but people have talked about that just as a business model. You look at what's making money and you save that. You look at your most loyal customers and you save that, and you get rid of the stuff that isn't making you any money. And so if I were them, I would drop my foreign real estate. I think also people have talked about whether or not they even think foreign governments should have the right to come in and buy up US real estate or Australian real estate because of what it has done to prices here at home, also to our environment here at home. We can't grow enough alfalfa to feed the pigs. The pork that's being exported to China to supply meat demands in foreign countries. So it also has to do with how are we going to be managing our resources, and do we have the right to sell off our real estate sources? And again, the problems with privatization, we have Bureau of Land Management and people, well, let's just sell it off to foreign governments. The next thing you know, you have foreign governments that own your country, and and we're all broke because we can't afford a studio apartment. And so those are all of the problems that are happening right now. But given the energy of China over the next couple of weeks, and I always tell people who are remote viewers that are particularly those of you who are practicing HCRV, ground yourself. If you want to use a fetish object like cards, you can, but ground yourself and go down and check for yourselves. But it looks to me like China is in very serious economic trouble. So, if that happens, will that have an impact on US real estate market? Will we see a plunge in the housing market, in addition to everything else that's going on, raising interest rates, etc.? Interesting. Joel Tilson said that the US has we should probably take a look at this. U.S. stopping China from buying U.S. properties because Canada has already stopped it. It's really detrimental to whether or not we can control our own economy. It would be one thing if it was somebody like me or you moving to Ireland and we were deciding to retire there and buying a condo. That's very different than a country coming in. Because there are plenty of Americans that are doing it too. They're retiring and moving to the south of. I have friends that moved to the south of France because they got a cheap apartment in the south of France. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about a single couple that's elderly that's retiring and buying a little condo in Boca Raton that came in from China. We're talking about much larger amounts of money and much larger amounts of real estate. So I'm going to just wait until I get the order to blitz, blitz, blitz away. And then we can go ahead and do some blitzes. And I'm just going to work from front. I'm just going to see as many as I can. I think, I've got the order. Great. Awesome. I think I'm going to start with Joel Tilson's question because a lot has been coming up about China, the economy, etc. So let's see about the future of U.S. real estate and whether or not there's going to be any changes with China buying up property in the U.S. And if you want to ask a question, just make sure you have some red question marks. Oh, hi, Mark. Good to see you. All right, China's future with the U.S. and real estate. The real estate bubble. It definitely looks like that. It's starting, look, we have a lot of conflict with China. You can see defending of the land. So the U.S., we are defending from this invasion. A 7 of Wands can be an environmentalist card too. It's the person that's standing there. Also, water protectors, when we were dealing with the water protector crisis with the pipeline, this was the card that came up. They were protecting that stream. This was the card that Spirit was using. Standing and defending the land against attack. It always shows the same thing, that China's undergoing a kind of civil unrest. We see a lot of protests starting again in China. People are protesting because their apartments are not done. They can't get their money out of the bank. They're not allowed to see the quarterly earnings. This is not going to be under wraps for much longer. This looks like civil war in China. So my interpretation, Joel, would be that civil unrest in China is going to make it very difficult for them to be able. I keep seeing this, that they want to expand, but their own internal situation is so unstable. And here we are defending against this, but they're in conflict with themselves, hopes and fears, how this will end. And we can see the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands can be a movement card. It can be also, it has, we're going to be okay. Ace of Swords stands with the United States. We will be able to protect our lands. The future of China and the internal conflicts going on inside China, smoother waters lay ahead. I really think that the answer is simply that they're just going to have to start selling some stuff so that you have the money and the resource. Just start selling stuff. You don't have to sell it all, but enough to where you can pull back and take care of your own citizens. Yeah, it's an ethos issue for China, Is an ethos question also for the United States? You've got to take care of your own citizens first and foremost. It ends well for us. So yeah, China, I think Joel, I think there are going to be new laws about whether or not they can buy. I think that they're going to have to stop what they're doing and focusing on taking care of their own citizens. And I think that America's going to be fine. We will find a solution with an Ace of Swords. And I think this, us being enamored with privatization has got to come to an end. We've got to have government agencies. We've got to have oversight. Let's get back to the good old days where people had a pension. Hello. And not replacing it with private companies that fire you when you turn 50 and then you're out on your tuchus and all you have is some, instead of having a pension, they've invested your 401k in the stock market. This has become normal. This should not be normal. We need to get back to stable retirement for people, which is another reason why we're seeing more homelessness among seniors. All right, question now coming from Mark Rhodes. Hi, Mark. I miss you, my love. Will Jack Smith start indicting Trump and his followers in Congress? I'm so tired of waiting. Well, here's what we do know. We do know that several people have been called to a grand jury. So Jack Smith already has a grand jury impaneled. Oh my goodness. And some of the people that are being called in are election deniers, the people that oversaw it. So it's looking pretty bad for the people that tried to steal the election, because that's much further along than I knew. I didn't know Jack Smith was already that far along, but evidently he is. So let's take a look. This is from the perspective of Jack Smith. So the 7th house will be Jack Smith's card. So let's take a look. Oh, yeah, I'm liking this. So basically what Jack Smith is saying is that he is not going to be taking any deals at this point. And what he wants the American people to know is that the reason that deals were made earlier with some of the lower ranking people in this conspiracy was because they didn't have as much dirt on them. So if somebody broke into the Capitol and stole something and ran off with a plate or something like that, those people they'll do deals with. because those people have information. Those people become informants. But the people who were the ringleaders, they're not going to make deals with them. The reason that they made deals with those people was so that they would not have to make deals with the ringleaders. And so the first thing that Jack Smith is saying is that there won't be any deals. So if you are a Rick Scott, if you are a Donald Trump, or any of the people that were Matt Gaetz, there's no deal. They don't need a deal because they already have enough evidence from the people below who did make deals. So no deal. There are people that are calling him, if Marjorie Taylor Greene was actively involved or Boebert was actively involved, there's not going to be a deal. There's also some evidence that I've been looking at a list of the people that have not been charged yet, and some are fugitives. I don't know if all of you look periodically at the DOJ's list of people that have been charged, but several are fugitives. They've either left the country, they're hiding out in the Seychelles or wherever, but there are a lot of actors. This was a major plot, and some of them remain at large. So there's something here about people leaving. They left the country, or they're fugitives. Maybe they are people that supplied the weapons, or were somehow very high up in this scheme, and now they are negotiating with their lawyers to turn themselves in exchange for some type of deal, and it's not being offered. That's the best way for me to look at it. The hope and the fear is that they will be restrained in their prosecutions due to obstruction of justice. This was something that we have talked about. It's starting to break now that the DOJ is investigating the lawyers for obstruction of justice and also their money sources. Because when I went into the remotes for the DOJ, because of the frustration that Mark Rhodes is talking about, I found massive obstruction. Red tape, legal obstruction, people lying and all being told to say the same things. At that point, the lawyers themselves can be charged and are being charged. And so you have this constriction due to red tape. His final outcome is the 10 of Cups, which means that we will win in the end. I want to do a clarification real fast. Oh, there's the evidence. He's presenting evidence now to the grand jury. This is my evidence card. It's also a real estate card. It's a blueprint. So because it's a blueprint card, that's why I use it as evidence, the blueprint for the insurrection. The insurrectionists are his opposition, carrying a heavy load of evidence. They're going to have to come back and bring the evidence. Yeah. So if you're a fugitive and you've got a lawyer and the lawyer is trying to negotiate your surrender, this is not a situation where you're going to get off light. But look at this, carrying the heavy load and the chair. He's going to get everybody. In terms of the red tape restrictions, there's the deal. Come back. That 4 of Cups, though, he is not going to be gentle with Donald Trump. He's not. I'm telling you, when this goes down, final outcome, Queen of Wands. I seek justice absolute. So there you have it. No compromise, evidence to the jury. Traveling or attempted escape, possibly carrying the evidence, red tape, some kind of offer or deal to receive. We shall rejoice. The Queen of Wands triumphs. I would say that's pretty darn good. I love Oshun. I love the the fire goddess. Yes. Very good. Very, very nice. I don't know. What do y'all think? Oh, Newhouse is leading a bill. Oh, thank you, Kay. Kay said that Newhouse is leading a bill to keep China from buying up our property. Wow, a little too late, don't you think? Just crazy. Okay. Okay. Did Trump have anything to do with China's real estate investments here in the United States? I don't think it was due to. I don't think so. I think that what was going on, Kim, was that it started in the 80s, that as early as the 80s and 90s, and now it's gotten to a point where uh, a lot of things went wrong with privatization in general. Privatization meant that there was more money going into the hands of the CEOs because a lot of things changed. They got rid of pensions. Pensions are gone. So that's money that the company doesn't have to pay to secure somebody after they retire. Instead, they put the money into mutual funds and index funds so that the company didn't have to pay out a pension. That meant more money in the pockets of the CEOs. The other thing that went wrong was that the tax breaks started to happen, and then the privatization started to happen, so that jobs and infrastructure that used to be done by the Army Corps of Engineer, by the government itself, all got uh, outsourced to companies that were competing for those jobs, and they either did the job badly or they did or some it led to all kinds of delays, etc. And also money was that was supposed to go towards infrastructure was cut, so all those things went wrong. So then we had bridges collapsing, or we had companies that didn't have the same standards as the old American system coming in and overcharging and not doing the work that had previously been done when it was the government working for itself. An example would be privatization of military clothing, military towels, etc. So you had Halliburton coming in and charging $110 per towel when, say it was made here in the United States by the American government, and we could produce a towel for $1. So now it went from with private contracts, give it to my friend, give it to my friend, because if we produce it ourselves, that would be communism. So we give it to your friend and he charges 110. So a lot of people got rich. We privatized prisons so that they could bypass laws protecting prisoners, and then we turned them into basically concentration camps where prisoners were forced to work for 25 cents an hour, and then the companies that hired these slave prisoners could make a profit. It was predominantly African American men who had been, on trumped up charges from high school to prison, where they became slaves in a new type of plantation, which was the private prison. The private prisons are just new. It's just a modern day plantation. Then they tried to privatize the Veterans Affairs, privatizing healthcare, which has caused insurance companies to take over. But insurance companies don't do anything. They serve no function. There's no reason to even have an insurance company. If the money went directly to the doctor, paid for by the government, we would pay a lot less for healthcare, just like in France. But the money is supposed to be, in our system, the money goes to make It's privatized. It goes to private insurance companies, which then pocket it, and then they tell you to give them $10,000, and then they'll give you a quarter worth of health care. Health insurance companies do not serve any function at all. The truth is they should be obliterated. It should just be, I don't have health insurance. I'm fine. Once a year, I have my annual. I make an appointment at Zoom Care. I have a full physical. I run all my lab work. I get my prescription. It costs me a few $100s a year, and that's that. I'm not going to, I used to have Kaiser, $600 a month, plus I had to pay on top of that until they got $10,000 from me. It's completely irrational. So I'm not participating. Now, when you get older, that's something else. But so it really goes back to the fact that privatization has destroyed the country. It's also destroyed our pensions, and it's one of the reasons why seniors are poorer than ever. And now they want to literally sell chunks of the country off to foreign governments. We'll give them parts of the Bureau of Land. Just give them that mountain. So it's pretty insane. All right, so this question is coming from Joel Tilson, and he wants to know if Trump is a flight risk. Oh my God. $110 for a towel. Can you believe that? It was the money that took Trump out. That's what Spirit is saying. If the whole reason you do everything is to have money, then following the money is ultimately what leads to his conviction. It was the money that, eventually he was convicted. They had an investigation into the money. The star was over the money. It leads to Tower. They caught him with the money. We have extradition with, I'm pretty sure we have extradition with Saudi Arabia. I can't imagine a country that is an ally of the United States would put their future relationship with America at risk by hiding this guy. The only place he could theoretically go and not face those problems would be Russia, maybe, or North Korea. But it's just unlikely. No, I don't see him fleeing. He has grief over his money situations. There's something about building evidence, a celebration of charges, and you can see some kind of something going down in their near future with the Queen of Wands coming after him. As I had told you, we're probably looking at some kind of charges next week coming out of Georgia. So I think we need to watch Fani Willis in the next week. Because I think that's going to be coming fairly soon. And also, as we had said when we did the remote viewings on Michael Cohen, that there would be that he was prepping for the grand jury, which is now happening. So it's likely he'll be charged with the Stormy Daniels payments as well. What do y'all think about that? I don't know. No, I don't think he has a monitoring device on him yet, Laura. But I think it's pretty much over for him. Where's he going to go? Where would the guy go? Hi, Delilah Gillis. Thanks for your help today. China bought Smithfield Hams, Hellman Mayos, GE Appliances, Motorola Mobility, AMC Movies, General Motors, Spotify, Snapchat, Hilton Hotels, Waldorf Astoria Hotels, Riot Games. Yeah, and that's all real estate. So start selling, sell it. Otherwise you're going to look. If I were them, I would sell what you got to sell, because if you don't, you're looking at civil war, and they don't need it. You got to take care of your own first, uh, and I just think that there's no way for them to avoid a civil war if they don't start pulling back on their investments. Yeah. Yeah, lawyer. It really is terrible what has happened, particularly to black men, how they're just assumed to be criminals while in high school, and then they look for some BS reason to arrest them and put them in basically a prison, uh, which is these for-profit prisons, which are basically a modern day slavery. That's exactly what's happening. Viewing black men as the enemy. And people who worked for the Nixon administration said we did it intentionally because we wanted people to stop talking about Vietnam. So we created this fake story where, we got to go after the black man and spooky, spooky black people. And so they doubled down on it, so that people would think that the enemy wasn't the war. We have a new enemy. And it's just a form of hegemony and controlling the masses. I think Joel is taking people. He's the moderator. He's taking people's questions for me, and so it's not that he gets all the attention. It's just that because I missed some of these questions, but it looks like Joel is asking us to look into North Korea, which I think is a good idea. There's different opinions about whether or not Kim Jong-un passed away from COVID. There's a lot of evidence that he did pass away. There's a lot of evidence that maybe he's still around. Either way, it'd be, North Korea has vowed that it's going to help Russia. Let's go ahead and take a look. And thank you everyone who donated today to our charity, the Southern Poverty Law Center. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I always see a lot of financial problems in North Korea, but the other thing I always see with North Korea is just theft. This is something that I really saw when I did a remote on North Korea, where they get resources and then the divine leader, or whatever he's called, he takes what he wants and then he gives it to his generals, and then they give it to their friends, and then they give it to their friends. And by the time the poorest of the poor in North Korea get this foreign aid, it's nothing's left, because it's like that mini series on Netflix where there's 47 levels and people are eating a feast at the top level, but by the time, and they keep moving the tray down the levels. Has anyone seen this thing? And by the time you get to level 1, there's like nothing there but a few bones to chew on. That really is a good analogy for North Korea. You have this swindler's card over North Korea. You have the thieves fleeing. Hopes and fears is the military. And then the final outcome is over. So I feel like the best thing that could happen to North Korea is some kind of collapse that forces them to open up to South Korea, because they need help. You have this attempts to heal North Korea, a refusal from their opposition to compromise. It just feels to me like there's always this opportunity for them to open up and to potentially have a relationship with the West. But I feel like things will become steadily, it's literally a starvation nation for many of the people that live there. And so, for that reason, the only solution is going to be eventually that they're going to have to, they can't maintain, this is the healer's card, Archangel Raphael, they can't maintain the border. And so, inevitably, the border will collapse, just like it did in Eastern Europe. Let's do one more, and then I think we'll call it a day. Did everybody have fun today? Oh, thank you, Anonymous, for the donation. Darnice Niece, thank you for the $20 donation. And Donald Lampert, good to see you again, Donald. Thanks for your support, donating $20 to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh, we raised $225 for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh, that's good. That's got to keep up the good work, everybody. Oh, Hogarth gave me he's a cutie patootie. If I were a little younger, my gosh, is he handsome. Thank you, Hogarth. You make me feel young again. All right, let's do one more quickie. Oh, really? Yeah, the prison pipeline. I just think it's beyond evil. I just can't believe human beings can be so evil, and yet these things go on, and this is all an opportunity for us to do better. For us, first off, that we have the knowledge, and then having the knowledge gives us the ability to share the knowledge and hopefully fight to make things better. All right, let's do one more. I think we have a question about Pakistan from MPJ369. All right, Pakistan. We know that there's been some tension in Pakistan because of the extremists that have been even extremist sympathizers within the Pakistani military. There is concern, of course, because Pakistan has the atomic bomb, right? So let's take a look. Very good people in Pakistan. That's the sad part about all this, is that some of the most kind, gracious, generous, good people you'll ever meet on the planet, right? So you have the average Pakistani is seen as six of swords, the man, the wife, the child. They just want to get to smoother waters. They just want to have a happy wife, a happy life, a happy family. They're talking a lot here about the fact that Pakistan has amazing resources, that their resources, the good infrastructure combined with Pakistan's resources, also the food's supposed to be incredible. I want to go to Karachi just to eat. I've been watching these food videos. I don't know if you've all seen them on YouTube, but supposedly it's like unbelievable food. But anyway, so you have the Empress, which would indicate like resources, smoother waters. You have the church or the religious beliefs or religious authority, and the strength of the people. So great country. The majority of the people are good. Food is fantastic. And they want peace, happiness, and they want to build their economy, and they want to build their infrastructure, and that is ultimately the future of Pakistan. They don't want all this crazy. Good outcome for them. A strong nation, fool takes the leap of faith. And you also have issues, a lot of major arcana here, by the way. Look at all this major arcana, abundance of resources, patience and sobriety. And look here again, the Hierophant. which can be the religious authority, but what is over the religious authority? Economic salvation. So basically, a great future financially for Pakistan in terms of investments, in terms of the economy, and they will get through this because most people there are really nice people and they don't want to participate in all this crazy. And so, for that reason, and because of the economic potential in Pakistan, we could see them doing very well in the coming years as an emerging market. All right. So that was fun. Y'all have fun today? I know I did. Yes, Modi's future, Joel. I mean, that's the other thing. Those cards were so optimistic with Pakistan. People are done with war. This is so not what most of the planet wants. You see that card, Six of Swords, the family trying to get to smooth waters. People want a happy lives, free of violence. And also if you look at the community reading, people want to avoid conflict and fighting. This is a time of education and improving our resources. Yeah. All right. Love and light to you all. Thank you so much to Joel Tilson, Joyce Pietris, Debbie Brady, Geriatric Briggs, and all the other Geocosmic Valentine and all the other people that have come out today to help. A special gratitude also again to all the people at Patreon who signed up to support the Patreon, and also the members here. If you want to be a member, I think it's $2.99. If you decide to be a fairy and an angel, it really helps the channel. If you become an elder, empath, or healer at $9.99, we get together on Tuesdays and we teach people how to remote view. It's a lot of fun. We have some fun on Tuesday nights. And of course, there's the benefactors package, which is $99 a month. You get a free reading and medical consultations with me. I am a naturopathic doctor, in addition to all the other benefits. Love and light to you all. Please take care of yourselves. The next couple weeks are going to be rough, but we will get through it. Have fun with the cannibalism. We can tell them what we think, but they won't listen to us. So just sit back and enjoy it. Everything's going to be fine. And have a great rest of the weekend. All right. Goodbye, everyone. See you all soon. Hugs.